All right, guys, the time is now for the return of our glorious Lord and Savior, Grimgor Ironhide. So, guys, we're going to be playing the Greenskins, of course, led by Grimgor. And we're going to be facing off against the Dwarves. And I figured this was a pretty good opportunity just to, considering we're using Grimgor, to just do a massive mouth breather build. So, it's basically just going to be spamming Black Orcs in the front line. There's not going to be much strategy here, which I feel like is the way Grimgor likes to play. You can see down here. Let's go ahead and take a look at his stats. So, Grimgor does have good melee attack in his defense. He does have 70. He has relatively good armor value, so he is tanky in that respect, but God, his melee defense sucks. 38 melee defense, decent armor piercing values at 500, but that's the big problem. He's slow, he has to waddle, but if there is a matchup in which he's going to be waddling, I mean, 38 speed isn't slow for a heavy infantry lord. So against the dwarves, he might be able to catch some of the dwarf lords who are usually slower than him. Their speeds are usually like 32, 28. So maybe Grimgor is going to be able to hunt down some dwarf lords. But aside from that, I figured that the mouth-breathing nature of the rest of my build, which is, massive amounts of Black Orcs, would kind of compensate for Grimgor here. So basically, they can just mulch the dwarven front line and potentially do well. We do also have an Orc Shaman caster here, so he does have the Here We Go and Fist of Gork. We got two groups of Goblin Archers to take out, Dwarven Missiles, Gyrocopters, things like that. But not really going to work out too well, considering my opponent does have 3 Gyrocopters, so he can definitely overwhelm me. We got the Durkit Swig Coppers over here. Armor piercing, anti-infantry. They also have poison, so they're going to be pretty good against dwarves in general. Just applying poison. They got a bonus versus infantry, definitely quite solid. And we're getting even more haggard up in here, guys. We got 2 Orc Boar Chariots, so these things are just so oh man, I don't know why they make me laugh every time but when I see these. But yeah, armor piercing, anti-infantry. Pretty bad stats aside from that. Charge bonus of 80. And they have a relatively low model count. But if they're able to get in there, they can definitely do some disruption. So that's it for my army. We got the mouth-breathing Grimgor build here. And for my opponent, he does have 3 Gyrocopters. So the Gyrocopters with the steam cannons, these bad boys do, do really well against goblins and light troops. So he can take out my squigs, he can take out my goblins. They won't do much of anything against Black Orcs, however. For my opponent's front line, he's got long grids with great weapons, so he's definitely expecting Black Orcs. He's got a Dwarf Lord, 2 Trollhammer Torpedoes. In the back, he does have a couple Coilers, Dragonback Slayers, Miners, as well as a Grudge Thrower. So yeah, things are looking to get pretty wild here, guys. So let's get the show on the road. So right now, we're going to be advancing up the hill. The Black Orcs, of course, running. Are they moving fast? No, I was actually walking, I think. Is saving a little bit of fatigue on those guys. The Squig Hoppers are going to be falling back. I am going to get some decent fire here on the Gyrocopters, but 3 of them are just going to be too much to handle. I mean, Rusty Arrows do sunder their armor, putting them down to, I think, 70 after they actually make contact. Yeah, 70 armor, which is pretty good. Now, if I had 3 or 4 Goblin Archers, I could probably fend those guys off, but in this situation, it's not going to work out too well. That's why Azag is actually pretty good. Azag is pretty good at hunting Gyrocopters. Fade Boon is really good against elite Dwarves, but I still think that Wurzog is probably the most competitive pick in this matchup. Morgups, Mage Marauders, and Depth Creepers are something else I often like to bring here because they do have AP, so yeah. But on that note, you can see we're getting some damage on the Gyros, but the Steam Cannons are just going to start roasting some of these Goblins down here. Look at that damage. I mean, the Rusty Arrows just getting put in a trash can, so that sucks. Losing that money right away. I mean, that's about close to 1,000 gold, about 800, 900, 1,000 in that range, so my opponent gets that for free, basically. But again, we do have an advantage in other aspects of the battle. The Black Orcs are going to overpower this front line so hard with the Wah. I mean, they're just far superior to Longgrids with great weapons in terms of their just damage output. The Orc Boar Chariots are lurking in the wings. Grimgor is just, getting ready. He's marching with the Black Orcs. He's definitely hits hard if he can sit on the target and the target can't run away from him. And, that's pretty ideal with the standard Dwarf Lord, right? I mean, the Dwarf Lord is not going to be able to do a whole lot of running. But he does have these Trollhammer Torpedoes. So the Orc Boar Chariots kind of just waiting on the wings. Can't really find an opportunity to get in here. But Grimgor is going to be marching down. I do a temporary fallback to make sure he engages with the Black Orcs. And the Grudge Thrower is doing okay work. The first volley of Coilers is going to be going into Black Orcs. Not going to do a lot against their armor. And I do get the Orc Boar Chariots just coming in here. The Wah has been popped, so they're going to be coming in, but the Trollhammer Torpedo is just pounding them. I get a decent little charge into the side of those guys. I thought that might work, because I was trying to sneak past these Dwarf Warriors as well, and we actually did some really good damage. So the Chariot play initially paying off, but the Black Orcs are here now, and this is Grimgor City. So Grimgor is here. He's going to be fighting the Dwarf Lord, who looks like somehow got behind him. He did a backflip over Grimgor's head or something. But yeah, this is definitely not what you want to do. I mean, the Dwarf Lord needs to be away. Grimgor, this is going to make him look decent, right? He's just going to chop this guy up. I do pop the Gitsnick, which gives him 40%, 640 weapon strength, and he is just doming this Dwarf Lord. Definitely good stuff there. The Black Orcs, as you can see, just the Longgrids taking massive damage and giving very little back. Black Orcs just hit so hard with the wall. So we're going to be using Stand Your Ground and all the different buffs. The Orc Boar Chariots and the Wings are looking for an opportunity. But the Trollhammer Torpedoes shooting in, doing some pretty heavy damage. I still have all 3 models, but Trollhammer's definitely paying their dues, and you can see oh no, get in there, piggies! They get in. I knew there was the Dragonback Slayers, but I kind of figured I could pull through them with the Chariots, but at this point I actually get dragged down a little bit, so that was sloppy. Dirk Squigs in the back, causing a lot of menace. They're able to get into the Grudge Thrower crew and cause some problems. He does have Slayers and other supporting elements back there, but I basically just wanted to knock them off the Grudge Thrower. Because here it's going pretty well, but he does actually do a really good tactical retreat, so he falls back with the Dwarf Lord, which then pulls my Orc Shaman directly into those Trollhammer Torpedoes, which was nasty. He broke me there, but Grimgor's just got a fat Greenskin chub here, and he's just going to be chasing down the Lord, like, no problem. He's faster too, so he should be able to chase him off the map. So if my memory serves, I believe I chased the Dwarf Lord completely off the map here. But this is what I was talking about. The Black Orcs, like, if your opponent isn't doing layered play with Runesmiths and, a little bit of Overwatch fire, and, like, it's really hard to deal with mass Black Orcs. That's why I was saying that, like, 5 Black Orcs is just such, like, a safe build. Unless your opponent is, like, really on top of their game, it's going to be really tough. And, he brought some experimental stuff, like Gyrocopters, but it was really good against my Rusty Airs, and you're still doing okay, like, shooting into the back of the Black Orcs. GRIMGOR, doing his thing, as he usually does, just kind of waddling and chasing things around. But at least this thing is broken, and he's going to get it off the battlefield. My opponent does actually break my Orc Shaman, though, which sucks. He's getting some decent fire with the Coilers, but the Black Orcs are piling in, so they're starting to catch these Dwarves, getting into the, the squishy parts of the army, and my opponent has pulled forward his auxiliary forces, so he was able to do, a good job at kind of holding back my tide and keeping his missile units functioning, but I definitely think Thunders, Coilers aren't bad here, I guess. They're pretty good against, like, Rusty Airs and things like that, but typically you're going to see Black Orcs and Orc Boys, so I really think Thunders, if you want to go with, like, missile play, are much better. The Trollhammer Torpedoes were pretty good at sniping my Lords and Heroes, but they also kind of faltered. I think it was a little overkill in that respect. Too many missile units to protect, too few infantry. But the Black Orcs are pretty beat up. This group's almost dead, this one's almost dead. These ones are in pretty good shape. They're going to be tough to take down. And the Orc Boar Chariot is just squealing around the battlefield, rocking the 35 kills, looking for opportunities to strike. Here they go, getting through those guys. Looks like the Boars are doing most of the fighting here in the front, but yeah, getting there, dudes. So GRIMGOR has almost chased the Dwarf Lord off the battlefield. But again, I feel like even without GRIMGOR, this could have been a battle that could have potentially been good. I don't know. Yeah, he's chasing. He's doing his thing. This Dwarf Lord definitely does not want to rally in the face of Gitsnick and the big war boss himself. But yeah, it was a fun build. If you want to take, like, a really relaxed approach against Dwarves, something like this is good. Just bring, like, 5 Black Orcs, like a couple of Goblin Archers. Dirkus Squigs were good, even though they didn't get a lot of kills. They still disrupted the back line, and I didn't really get to show you guys that much, but they really did a lot. And Orc Boar Chariots are just kind of a fun thing, but really I wouldn't recommend them. Just get more infantry or more Gibbs Mage Marauders. Forest Goblin Spider Riders are pretty good at harassing Dwarf back lines. Stuff like that is going to be a little bit more cost efficient. But the Orc Boars, I guess they could be good against, like, miner builds. If someone went very heavy with miners, the Orc Boar Chariots could, like, run in and absorb the blasting charges, and they don't have charge defense. So I guess there's some give and take there. But with what my opponent had with Iron Drakes and, like, all that stuff, they weren't that great. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this GRIMGOR game. If you guys want more hot GRIMGOR action, I'll try and get some more of that. But for now, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. So this is going to be a 2-for-1, a little bit of a short battle. I have a couple other fun ones that I think were pretty neat. So we're going to jump over to game 2. So very well played to my opponent, Dwarf Master Cheeser. I must say his name certainly made me nervous. I was expecting like 30 gyrocopters to be attacking me, but alas, it wasn't so bad. He brought a unique build for sure, but it wasn't Mass Gyrocopter. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in game 2. All right, guys, so now we're back with game 2, which is going to feature a showdown between the Skaven, who are going to be led by Lord Skrolk, and the Tomb Kings, who are going to be led by Ark in the Black. So, guys, we're going to be trying a bit of a Warp Lightning build. Now, my typical competitive build against the Tomb Kings for the Skaven, it includes Storm Vermin with swords and shields in the front line. They're a little bit safer, or you can spam halberds, but here I wanted to try something a little bit different. So, again, you got to experiment to figure out new things. And I highly recommend it. If you guys are just playing like the same builds over and over, just get into a game, like try something else that, like, yes, there is like a meme level of like units, right? Like those ones, that's just kind of like completely joking around. But here I'm trying something out that I think might be potentially good. So I'm kind of thinking that the Plague Monks and the Censor Bears. So Censor Bears hit really hard against Tomb King's infantry. Now the problem is though, is they have low melee defense and low armor, so they do take a ton of damage on the hit swing back. But I feel like these guys might serve a bit of a dual purpose and be able to burn down constructs because they do have the Discourage ability. So when they hit something, it's -10 leadership. They have really good armor piercing, and yeah, I'm excited to try them out. We got Skrolk, we got 3 Rat Ogres to give us a mass in the front line so he can't just bully us with some of these high mass constructs. And then we're going to be trying out 2 Warp Lightning Cannons in the back, which are going to be defended by Clan Rats. So typically, just for contrast, I like to use Storm Vermin in the front line, like 3 or 4 groups, and then mix in some Halberds to deal with the constructs. And there's a bunch of different ways to deal with the big. You can use Glovadiers, you can use Rat Ogres. There's a lot of different options, or Hell Pit Abominations even. But here we're going to be trying this out, and hopefully it works. So Rat Ogres, we got Censor Bears, a very Plague Monk centric army with there's all kinds of nasty things in the front line, and Warp Lightnings to snipe out the constructs, which are already doing a good job. For my opponent, he's got Tomb Guard in the front line with Skeleton Spearman, pretty cool, mixing in for the Rat Ogres. He's got Ushapti and double Tomb Scorpion, which is really nasty. That's a hard build to stop for sure. I mean, Hell Pit Abominations are really good against Tomb Scorpions. So had I had like a hell pit, I think I would be able to dumpster these scorpions pretty easily. But with this, it's going to be tough. Rat ogres are okay. I'm thinking the plague monks and the warp lightning cannons might do some decent work. But I think like this build, now that I look at it, is a little bit more conducive to like a Death Star. But yeah, the warp lightnings have done really good so far. So yeah, you guys will see. On the wings, he's got Nehekar Horsemen, which is a great pick for my opponent. They're really good at chasing down skirmishers. They actually hit pretty hard against rats with rear charges. Beautiful stuff there. He does have, for his Lord, Arkin with the Spirit Leech and Aspect of the Dread Knight. So yeah, guys, let's get the show on the road. Right now, we're going to be advancing just a little bit. I want to say have some distance between my artillery so he can't just crumble me and get straight into the cookie jar. We're getting some really good damage on the Ushapti. Now, I probably should have targeted the Tomb Scorpion, but I wanted to like try and lower something down really quick and actually get some substantial value, because shooting at the Tomb Scorpion isn't going to lower its combat effectiveness, whereas shooting at the Ushapti is going to, like, you know, get less models and less damage output in the initial, like, combat. So I wanted to see how that would go here. Warp Lightning Cannon's definitely doing some work. The Ushapti haven't lost any models yet, but nonetheless, we're doing pretty good. So I do a bit of a fallback here, trying to buy a little bit more time, but I think I was just, like, reorganizing my troops. Some weird business was happening here. Skrulk's ready to party. He does have the... oh, yeah, and that was the other aspect of the build. We're going with double Plague Priest. So this is something I don't normally do also. They both just have Pestilent Breath, so I was really hoping to melt the Tomb King's front line of Tomb Guard with those breath. So right now, the Censer Bearers and the Plague Monks are going to be charging, and Rat Ogres are going to be counter-charging against Ushapti. And here come the Rat Boys. So the Rat Boys are going to be charging in, but a great Ushapti charge for my opponent. Definitely going to do some pretty good damage, but I do get counter-charges with Rat Ogres across the entire front line. And Censer Bearers are also going to be stalking in against those Tomb Guards, which is going to be good. He does summon some Skeletons with Arkin, which was a pretty smooth play. The Rat Ogres are in there as well, so Tomb Scorpions are still pretty good against Rat Ogres and stuff like that. So first Pestilent Breath going down, which does a huge amount of damage to the Tomb Guard. Rod of Corruption going down as well. So the Focus Fire from the Warp Lightning Cannon's doing some really good work against the Ushapti here. Rod of Corruption also burning them down. So far it's looking pretty good. The Plague Monks are also mulching these low-tier infantry. This side of the fight, really, really smooth. I mean, they're getting burned down. But over here, it's not so good here in the center. Arkin the Black and the Rat Ogres are kind of faltering a little bit. This is where the Tomb Scorpions are focused, right? So I have my Plague Priest here. He does use an Overcasted Doom and Darkness, which is really nice. It actually gets -16 to all of my troops here. Skaven have horrid leadership, so that's going to be really tough. And a beautiful rear charge coming in. I didn't really have the resources to stop this. So they're going to be coming in. The Rat Ogres, of course, have a little bit of mass, but yeah, the rats are going to be sent flying into the Shadow Realm. So it's not like the end of the world. This flank's certainly going to collapse. Like, the Overcasted Doom and Darkness is just so punishing. It makes my Plague Priest, falter. Everything here just falters from that. On this side, it's going pretty well. Ushapti are kind of getting worn down a little bit. I do send some of my Clan Rats to kind of collapse in these Nehekar Horsemen. But at the end of the day, even though the fighting's a little bit tough, like, I still have these two Warp Lightning Cannons, so now we're shooting at the Tomb Scorpion, and check it out. We're actually killing it. So this Tomb Scorpion taking a bit of work from the Warp Lightning Cannons, but there are a lot of Tomb Kings kind of pushing forward here, so we really need to kill some of these constructs. Ushapti crumbling here, these ones are crumbling, so his constructs are pretty beat up. The Pestilent Breath coming down the formation again, a little bit of a miss there, but nonetheless, it's been doing pretty well for me this game. So the Horsemen pushing forward, Rat Ogres are kind of retreating. So at this point, I'm just trying to pull everything back. I'm trying to kind of reorganize my forces, get a secondary push going. These Clan Rats with Spears will be intercepting these Nehekar Horsemen, making sure he doesn't get the freebies on my Warp Lightning. But yeah, we're shooting those Tomb Scorpions. This one is pretty low with about 1900 HP, so hopefully we're able to kind of burn it down here. Frontline fighting is still underway. I do have some Plague Monks here who are doing really good. I mean, these Ushapti are melting. The Skeleton Warriors are melting. Unfortunately, a lot of my expensive Censer Bearers have been kind of pushed back, but we have fallen back, forming a bit of a second battle line. The Tomb Scorpion taking a lot of work from those Warp Lightning Cannons. And the Plague Priest also rallies, which is very, very good. So he's going to be helpful at clearing out like the skeletons and some of these other elements here. Now Skrulk is going to be jumping back in. It's a little bit risky, but I really wanted to take out this Tomb Scorpion. I figured that would be something that could potentially get me back in the game. As you can see, the bounce power is slipping. A very good Ushapti summoned in the back, so I did pull my reinforcements, and I was kind of like, I need to hold Skrulk and help him out in the front line here. But the Rat Ogres are going to be jumping in, which is really nice timing, because Rat Ogres are quite good against Ushapti. Even though they're beat up, they could probably beat these summoned Ushapti, especially with Plague Monks coming in. But the Tomb Scorpion has fallen, so that's pretty good. He has a full health one over here, which is a little bit scary, but we are holding back the Skeleton Tides. The Plague Monks and other troops are rallying here, definitely paying their dues. Over here, though, I think Skrulk is in pretty bad situation, and this is something that could potentially cost me a lot in this game. Skrulk is surrounded, Doom and Darkness has been cast on him. If he can break Skrulk, he can probably chase it off with like something low tier, which is just going to be absolutely backbreaking, like straight up Bane dropping Batman over his knees. The Ushapti here getting pretty low against the Rat Ogre, so again, that prediction pretty good. And I have switched my fire onto the other Tomb Scorpion. So the Warp Lightning Cannons have definitely paid their dues this game, dealing with the Tomb Scorpions. Arkin the Black in here, though, is really healthy, and my leadership is not looking good. Skrulk isn't like terrible at in terms of like sitting and being durable, stand your ground, giving him 72 melee defense, but that is a lot of stuff. I have some supporting Plague Monks, but Arkin the Black, pretty good assassin. I do pop Liber Bubonicus on him, which I believe is the second cast this game. The first one was used to kill the Tomb Scorpion, but alas, Lord Skrulk is broken. Bounce of power is starting to shift in my opponent's favor a little bit. And the Warp Lightning Cannons are stabilizing in the back, but even though they are stabilizing and I'm killing everything on them, You can see the Sensor Bears here just clubbing down these Tomb Guard, doing really, really well for themselves. 40 melee attack right now. And they also lower the leadership of the Tomb Guard, which makes them crumble quite a bit faster. But nonetheless, we're going to secure the back line, right? The Nagakar Horsemen are falling, but there's still just too much coming forward. There's Tomb Guard here. You can see there's Tomb Guard, there's Ushapti. There's still a relatively healthy Tomb Scorpion somewhere, I think. Go ahead and take a look around. I could have sworn there was. Maybe he's just Arc in the Black. Yeah, no, here he is. This guy's in pretty good shape. So now that, you know, he has gotten to the back line, yes, I probably could have set up. I probably should have set them up further away to get more value and force my opponent to chase, but I didn't expect the frontline engagement to go that badly. The Doom of Darkness was really good against my Frenzy because Frenzy, you know, is contingent upon leadership. So he was able to lower my Frenzy quite quickly with the Overcast Doom of Darkness. And from here, the Warp Lightning Cannons are going to be compromised. But I definitely thought it was a fun build. I think what I might end up doing, like in terms of like what I can take away from that build, what I can learn. The Pestilent Breaths were good, but I found like I really was wanting to, I was using all my Winds of Magic on those, trying to like nuke his front line, but it wasn't that effective. Maybe I wasn't aiming at the best, so I think maybe I would bring some other spells, like Blades of Putrefaction, as well as the Vermintide, just to give us a mask to like block things up and sacrifice some of the constructs. The Plague Monks I'd probably cut. I feel like Tomb Guard just give them the business. I might keep 2 Sensor Bears and get 3 Storm Vermin with the Swords and Shields. Use these guys to both mulch the Tomb King's infantry, plus also help out with constructs. Because basically Tomb King's infantry in general are just terrible against like armored infantry. So you can just use the Tomb Guards with halberds, which will also be really good against Ushapti and some of them, which I think would probably be the right direction to go. Probably cut 1 Rat Ogre, I think. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Warp Lightning. It did pretty good. But again, you have to kind of like cater your whole playstyle. Like I think my build was very aggressive, and had I had Hell Pit Abominations helping out, maybe that could have been better. Yeah. I'd probably just go with Scroll, cut the Plague Priest. Yeah, we can go take a look. Let's do that. All this theory crafting. Let's put it to the test. There's my Norskin build, which is always pretty fun. So let's open up the Rat Boys. So Skrulk's definitely the best pick if you're looking for like a competitive build. Something like this is good. You can use Vermintide. It gives you some utility and flexibility. You have to bring these items for sure. You can rig a Warlock Engineer for the Mortis Engine effect, but I don't think it's worth it. Now, you could go with like a front line like this. And if you want to experiment with the Plague Monk Sensor Bears to give you some punch there, you can do that. On top of that, you get a couple Rat Ogres. You get like a Hell Pit Abomination. You have to watch out for like Ushapti Great Bowfire and things like that. But something like this can be pretty good. Then you can mix in like some Clan Rats. Let's go ahead and just get some rats to like deal with chaff units and stuff. Assassins can be pretty good too, to like give you a little bit of punch against like Arkin. So yeah, we can get rid of Slippery if we want. I mean, Slippery's okay. Rival High Talisman, something that's usually pretty useful. So this is like a very elite Skaven army that could be like, you know, Death Star. You could also mix in a Plague Priest on a Mortis Engine to do the AoE effect, but usually it's like the biggest problems are dealing with Tomb Scorpions. So I feel like this is pretty good, right? You have Storm Vermin, you have Rat Ogres, you have a Hell Pit Abomination kind of fighting here. If you want to get a little bit crazy, you could even throw in like 1 Globadier and then just like get some Skaven Slave Spears in the back to like help out. Like this could be potentially a pretty decent little army for sure. Like mobile, powerful. I have like 5 or 6 different builds that I would probably use here. You could even cut the Sensor Bears and just you know, get some like cheaper like units like Clan Rats to fight, and then rely on some other excuse me, losing my voice today. Rely on some other elements. But anyways, very well played in my opponent, Ambio. That was a super fun game. He had a good aggressive build and it was very, very powerful, and his play was solid. So thanks again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing GRIMGOR as well as the Skaven, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.